Are you a mass murderer of plants? That's fine. I've had this problem myself. There are a lot of reasons why your plants are dying, and I have a few solutions. I'm going to start with the most obvious reason why your plants are dying, and also the most common reason people don't even know. Overwatering. This happens all the time. You know, you think your plant, oh, my plant needs more water. It doesn't. Depending on your plant, it probably doesn't need more water. If you've watered it recently, it doesn't need more water. Of course, every plant's a little bit different. You have to be a little bit more careful. But obviously, certain plants, indoor plants especially, do not need hardly any water. This mistake has been made before. I had a snake plant, which I watered, and then my mother did not know that I watered it. She watered it, and the snake plant died. And by the way, snake plants are famous for being unkillable. So there you go. Overwatering is one of the most detrimental things you could do to your plant, because it's not just, oh, the plant can't suck it up fast enough. The plant, the roots of the plant will get moldy, basically, and will start to die off when they're exposed to too much water that they can't do anything with. So do not overwater your plants. Don't underwater your plants either. You know, don't forget about you. This has also happened to me. Don't forget that your plant exists and then stop watering it, because it'll just wither up, turn brown, and die. And this is especially true if you're growing in a hot climate. So Arizona, Florida, California, Nevada. I don't even think people can grow things in Nevada, but the thing about underwatering in hot weather, your plants will burn to a crisp in seconds. Maybe not seconds, but very quickly. Especially in the summer, in the heat of day, if you're trying to grow something, you don't water your plants in the middle of the daytime, because it's just not good for them. You know, they get the water, but then the water immediately starts evaporating. It's better to either do it in the early morning or the evening, when that's not going to happen as much. So this also applies to indoor plants. It's not quite as severe because indoor plants usually don't need that much water, but if you don't water them for a long time, they can eventually die. So again, be kind of careful about that. Then, another reason why your plants might be dying is because of the sun. Now, obviously the sun is a big factor in making plants grow via photosynthesis, but too much sun or too little sun is not great. Again, especially if you're in a hot climate, that too much direct sun will just roast your plants. You know, just destroy them. Because certain plants can only withstand so much heat. Once they go beyond that limit, they're done for. And if your plants don't get enough sun, you could get some excess water sticking around, some mold, and they just don't have enough. They'll usually be very small and stunted because they don't have enough of that solar energy to start photosynthesizing and, you know, growing and producing things. So you do really need a balance. Again, it depends on the type of plant that you're growing. You know, obviously, like if you're growing like a very Mediterranean pepper plant, you want more sun. And if you're growing something shady like parsley, you want to put it in the shade. But, you know, that's kind of a more obvious thing to consider. You got to consider what container you're growing your plant in. Now, obviously, if you're growing your plants in a garden in the ground, you don't have to really worry about this. But if you're container gardening, it's more of an issue. So some plants they stay small. You don't have to worry too much about it. You can just keep a small little pot. And some plants will also just stay small according to whatever container they're in. But other plants will want to branch out and spread. So if you see this is happening with your plant, just transplant it. Transplant it into a better, bigger location. And in the same vein, you also have to consider the soil. Now, I made a previous video about different types of soil, or at least a specific type of soil that's really good for most plants. But some plants are very particular. They might want sandy soil. They might want acidic soil like blueberries. So again, research the type of plant that you're growing, and make sure you try to accommodate the soil to make sure that that plant actually survives and then grows and produces whatever you want it to produce. And the last thing to consider is whether or not pests are pestering your plants. So obviously there are so many pests, you know, aphids and even, you know, like mold spores and things that get onto your plants. So do a bit of research on different types of pests and mold and fungus and things like that, and see if it looks like your plants are suffering from one of those pests. And if they are, there are many options to fix it, especially natural options if you want to go that way. So again, research is a big part of growing plants. You know, they're living organisms, and they require a little bit of pampering unless you want them to just drop dead. So those are pretty much my main tips for helping people figure out why their plants are dying. Most likely it's one of these. You know, in rare occasions it might be something else entirely, but these are some of the main ones, main problems that people make. So if you thought this was helpful, or if you just liked the video, of course you can leave a like or subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.